Duckworth Lewis played a big role in Middlesex's opening Royal London One Day Cup match at Radlett, visitors Hampshire winning by 5 wickets with 3 balls to spare. Put in, Middlesex made an excellent start to this competition through Brendon McCullum and Darby Milan. McCullum, as you would expect, was off to a flyer. A game of 50-over cricket no different to a test match in the way he attacks the cricket ball. This early maximum had him really on his way, and from there he didn't look back as he dominated a 100-run partnership with Milan. Former Middlesex all-rounder Gareth Berg was also smashed into the distance by the Kiwi, who then took 4 fours off successive deliveries from Gareth Andrew, the last of which took McCullum to his half-century of just 35 balls. He'd found the boundary 8 times and cleared it twice. And he did that for a 3rd time off Mason Crane as Middlesex reached 3 figures with no man yet back in the pavilion in the 15th over. A huge total was on the cards. But with the score on 100, Milan, never really at his fluent best, was bowled by Crane for 25, and things started to go downhill a bit from there. McCullum, though, wasn't quite done yet, and he struck his 4th 6, before falling next ball as he was held by Shaun Irvine at slip. The batsman's fine knock ending on 74, an innings using up just 56 deliveries. McCullum was replaced by Eoin Morgan, who soon showed he meant business by clearing the rope off Crane, and with Nick Gubbins also beginning to look good, Middlesex reached a score of 165 for 2 at the halfway stage of their innings. So they would certainly have been hoping to get something well into the 300s, but were set back when Gubbins was LBW to Irvine for 32, and then Paul Stirling had his stumps disturbed by Liam Dawson in the next over. But Morgan remained, and he reached a 50 off 41 balls, before he fell to the youngster Crane, picking out Dawson in the deep after making 52 of a score of 209 for 5, with 15 overs still remaining. John Simpson and James Franklin were unable to score as freely as Morgan and McCullum, but they were able to add 49 runs for the 6th wicket in 8.5 overs, which meant that, as the innings moved towards its conclusion, there were wickets left in hand for the rest to have a real go. In trying to do that, Simpson gave Ryan Stevenson a wicket, Dawson again involved with the catch. Then Franklin looked for the big finish with this 6 off Crane, only to give Dawson more work to do in the field next ball as the skipper fell for 40. 274 for 7 now the score with 4 overs to go. James Fuller was out for a duck, Will Smith holding on off the bowling of Andrew, leaving it to Toby Rowland-Jones to get the total up to 295 for 8 from the allotted 50 overs. A good score, but perhaps not as large as it might have been given the start. Hampshire have already been thrashed twice by Middlesex in the other 2 competitions this year, and were up against it again when debutant Joe Weatherly was bowled by Tom Helm for 2. Shortly after that, down came the rain, accompanied by thunder and lightning, and when the players returned, the target had been altered to 202 off 26 overs, meaning a further 190 were wanted off 21.4. So Adam Wheater and Jimmy Adams had to get a wriggle on, something they did. Especially Wheater, who twice hit Franklin for 6s in the same over, one that cost 15 runs. What we had been left with was effectively a T20 match, and Middlesex would have been very confident when, in the 12th over, Rowland-Jones had Adams held by Gubbins for 26. And even more so when, in the next over, Stirling came on and had Simpson to thank for this stumping of Wheater for 41. Irvine then came out and went after the Irish spinner, and that left a target of 88 runs to get off the last 10 overs. But against Middlesex now was that Irvine and Dawson began to forge a fine partnership, finding the boundaries at regular intervals. The home team needed wickets just to set their opponents back a tad, but they sadly were not forthcoming. That target being reduced to 38 off the final 5 overs when Irvine went big again, this time off Ravi Patel. That meant that these two were able to add 89 runs in 9 overs together. A stand ended only when Irvine on 45 was bowled by Fuller. The real hero for Hampshire was Dawson, who then went to a 50 off only 30 balls and continued to cause problems for the home attack, It all saw us enter the last over with only 3 runs needed. Will Smith was out to the first ball of that over, delivered by Franklin, Fuller with the catch. But 2 balls later, Andrew found the boundary that was required as Hampshire got home with 3 deliveries to spare, Dawson ending a fine day for him, unbeaten on 68. So it meant a loss by 5 wickets as Middlesex now head to Bristol for another game in this competition against the holders Gloucestershire under lights on Wednesday.